Hopefully that still all works correctly.
Right.
Blowing off the cobwebs here. You are live. The internet can totally see you now. Hey, there it is. Woo! And chat. See. Yep. Okay, chat works. Everything works. Let's get this out on Twitter.
Let's get this party started in here.
Is live. Happy New Year from PTM Podcast. Tweet.
Let me go ahead and
Done. That's on.
tip Ahmad, who's actually fun to talk to.
Oh, cool.
First generation American. His parents are Jordanian, so we had a very interesting conversation about what's going on over there.
Well, yeah. The two guys that work on my truck are from Iran, so I might have to ping them. Be like, hey, what's going on? I won't. I know what they'll say. They're like, I don't know, man. This is total BS. I'm just here to fix cars. Live in America. Like, come on.
Bring it on, come on.
That's right. Evan Roller, what's up, man? Hey, I saw you. You're a patron now. We'll give you the old shout out and all the accolades and everything else that goes with it. I need to send you.
I think somebody else joined too.
A note. Matter of fact, let me do that right now. I'm going to go on there and send you a note. Yes, accept. That's fine. Patron.
Yeah. So there's two new ones at the $5 and up level.
Who's the other?
I don't know. I don't know how to look at it, so you'll have to do it.
I didn't see anybody new.
Yeah, because we went from 32 to 33, and then Evan sent me a text earlier saying that he was on board. So that's 34. Because it went from 145 to 154.
There we go. Evan, I'm sending you a note right now to send us your address. We can get you some stuff. Ashron to tell the story. Yeah, we'll definitely get to it. Beast, what's up? Oh, Beast can barely hear us.
Uh-oh.
Pull yours. Do you have, turn your volume up on your computer if you can. And let me make sure things are working and playing and blah, blah, blah. Check on the YouTuber.
Oh, it's really quiet on my computer.
Huh, okay. Let's see. In that case, maybe if I just drag this thing up that way, then it will correct itself. Let's see how that works.
There you go.
All right. Yeah,
All
we're
right.
on the delay there. Oh, awesome. Hopefully that works a little better, Beast. Appreciate the feedback. We pretty much rely on that, like our remote technical crew here.
Yeah, I don't know this, but the reason why we start the YouTube before we start the iTunes recording is because of that right there.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is the first time I've had to write out or type out the actual date for the New Year. So, it was fun doing that. Fire the producers. Yeah, you're all fired.
Yeah.
All of them.
Every one of them over there. Y'all are all fired.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, excited. Get this thing started. Evan, I see that you have responded. That's awesome. We'll get you some stuff. Dude, Rockingham, North Carolina. I forgot that's where you're from. That is really cool to see. I won't say your full address here, but that's cool to see in a in an address. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
rock and roll 400.
Rock and roll. Speaking of rock and roll, I'm about ready to do this. What do you think, Sherwin?
Off we go.
Yeah, why not? Gotta remember how all this stuff works, which buttons to mash, and how many things to hit. But yeah, I think we're good here. No guests today, y'all. We're just gonna break it down, talk about what we've been up to, and kick it off. Get 2020 started on the right foot. Let's go ahead and Yeah, let's do it. Here goes nothing. We're recording now. Welcome, yo! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 226. It's Tuesday, January 7th, 2020. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
First of all, the year's weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird to say 2020.
Yeah.
And it feels like we haven't done this in like 2 months, but it's been 3 weeks or something.
Right. Feels like a whole new thing.
Yeah, it's like we're starting over.
You know? Well, let's get this part out of the way. Y'all know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie. Best part is every cent in 2020, we're donating to sponsoring drivers. So join the PTM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. Those are Aaron Bearden, Robert Keplinger, Coleman McClain, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brendan Crowd, Kathleen McDonald, Stacey Wright, Brandon Carl, Rika Porter, Jump Bob, Les Miller, Julie Bowser, John Pearson, Eddie Greer III, Younger Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knappen, Stacey Coleman, Matthew Camper, Lisa Chanana, Rick Houston, Sarah N. Barry, and welcome to the PTM Posse, Evan Roller. Woo! Woo!
Redneck noise.
Kick that off with a bang. Got the full breath out. Everything.
It was good. Slowed her down. Went a little faster.
Yeah, exactly. When I'm not trying, I'm trying hard, I guess. Yeah. Well, what's up, dude?
Man, holiday season's over. It seems like it takes forever, and then it seems like it went by so fast. You're like, well, damn, I guess that's over with.
Well, no kidding. Kicking off 2020 with just the two of us. Y'all just got Rusty and Sherwin here live today. We're just going to talk about silly season, what's been going on, what we've been up to for the last few weeks, and kicking off 2020. And choking, evidently. Sherwin and I, we were talking before. That was the first time I had to write 2020 as a date, and yeah, it definitely feels weird. It used to be like when you wrote a check. That first check that you wrote. Mm-hmm. But now that's not really a thing. I don't write checks anymore. Everything's auto pay.
I still have to write a couple of them.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of them I can't do online.
I got you.
But I haven't written one yet in 2020.
So that one's going to be cross out the date, put the new one in there.
Yeah. Well, it's always a scramble to find a checkbook that's got a check left in it.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, where'd I put all them damn checkbooks?
Call up the bank. Send me another one. So what are we drinking on tonight, Sherwin?
Big shout out to donor of the Patreon, Eric Kepner. He gave me a Christmas present, a 6-pack of the New Holland Dragon's Milk White Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout, which I had never had before, and it's actually pretty tasty. I brought one for you too if you want it.
Appreciate that. That's very interesting. The Dragon's Milk White, because Dragon's Milk is a pretty good staple. In terms of
brand-wise for New Holland, that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah. So, good on them then for saying...
And it's not even that strong. It's only 6%.
Right. That's a drinking beer.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Dude, Christmas and New Year's, we had the break there. I don't think I was being coy about it or nothing, but me and the wife just decided to completely F off. We went to Japan for the entirety of that. We were gone about 2.5 weeks, flew into Tokyo December 19th, came back January 2nd or 3rd, something weird. It's one of those weird ones, dude, because we flew out at 6 p.m. On like Thursday or Friday, whatever it was, and we arrived an hour and a half before we left.
Right.
Coming back. So that's one of those, like, you have no idea what day it is. It's weird going out there because you lose a day and a half or whatever it is. So, but yeah, coming back, you're like, oh, it's still yesterday. What do we do? So
yeah, that is weird. I've not traveled that far before myself.
Still a little torn up, I guess. But no, so Delta has this new class of seats, and it's kind of like It's kind of like what first class is on all the other like domestic flights. It's not the lay down flatbed stuff, but it's bigger seats and you get fancy food and stuff. And it's totally in the affordable wheelhouse, you know. So we did that, and I'll keep flying that one. That's a pretty good offering there from Delta. I'll give them the old pat on the head or pat on the back or whatever. Hey, good job. Because you know how it is. It's like, well, if you want economy, it's this much, and if you want economy plus, it's $100 more. And if you want this one I'm talking about, premium something or other, it's $100 more than that. And if you want the lay flat bed, it's $10,000 more than that. And you're like, well, all right, one of these don't match up.
Right.
What are we talking about here?
What is the economy of scale here?
Right. Who is the people buying? I want to run up there and just blare an air horn while everybody's asleep. Be like, y'all wake up. Tell me how you got this money. So, yeah, kind of weird deal. But, you know, something I was reminded of, Sherwin. I wrote this in the show notes. Smokey Yunick, I wrote 1976. It was 1967. Famously had that like 7/8 scale Chevelle, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now there's debate over whether it was 7/8 scale. It was like, well, he brought in the front bumper and raised the floor pan and stuff to where, you know.
Well, what it was they let him go home with the official NASCAR templates.
Right.
And he just recut the templates and said, it fits. It's right.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. As a guy who's 6'2", I was reminded of that because it felt like everything in Japan is 7/8 size.
That's funny.
So I drew blood twice on getting on a train and knocking my head
Because you
into
whacked
something.
your head?
Yep. And you're on the train, and every advertisement that's hanging down, you just flap, hitting on your head. They give you, like in the U.S., they give you like a robe, you know, at a lot of the nicer hotels and stuff. Well, over there, they give you pajamas, of course. And I mean, I'm telling the lady, she hardly speaks English, and I'm embarrassing the crap out of her. Because like the room attendant gal, she walks in and I'm looking at these pajamas. I'm like, no, I need big Godzilla. What was I said sumo Godzilla, big. And she's like, oh my gosh,
Big.
Oh no, come on, big American. Here we go, Godzilla. She understood that one.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I mean, even their Godzilla size, like it went up to halfway up my shins on the pants and stuff.
You got your floodwaters on.
Oh man, the beers are like 14 ounces instead of 16. Everything is just slightly smaller, just slightly like they took the templates home.
That's straight up 7/8, 14 ounces
right?
versus.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, man, this is just a little strange. After a while having to, and I know now what like those dudes who are 6'8" in the U.S. feel like when they're walking around. They have to duck under every doorway, and they have to duck in like always.
Oh,
watching
especially
your
if
head.
they get in on a CRJ.
Yeah,
I have to duck on a CRJ.
Yeah, no kidding. So I at least felt because there's always I mean even as a tall guy I'm always like, man, I wish I had a couple more inches taller. That would be pretty sweet. You know, I'd be I don't know. As a guy, I'm just like I like a little more height out of this. And I think there's a limit to that. And the limit.
Well, until you have to
Japan,
fly coach a lot.
Well, yeah, there's that too. I think the limit in Japan's about 5'10", but yeah, that was a fun experience all around. If y'all don't know, so Japan totally culturally appropriates Christmas in the way that we do, like Cinco de Mayo, right? We go to the Mexican restaurant, we get blasted, drinking margaritas, and we half the people don't even know what it is. It was some war against
half
French.
the people don't know that Cinco de Mayo means 5th of May.
Exactly. It's like, what day's July 4th on?
Yeah. What day is July 4th again? You just said it.
So they do that with Christmas. So their big thing, y'all go look it up. The thing is to eat KFC. They're like, oh, KFC.
Oh, yeah, you
that's
told me about
American.
that.
So, we eat KFC. So me and the wife got our KFC in our nice hotel.
Didn't you have to order it like 3 weeks in advance?
You have to order in advance. Yep. So you go to the KFC, you get your KFC. Dude, it's like a bucket of chicken for $25. They totally like just eat you alive on the prices and stuff. But there we are.
Like
sitting in our...
be $9.99 down there at the corner.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Well, on any other day in Japan too, because they got a bunch of KFCs.
Oh yeah, elasticity of demand, baby.
Right. I always like trying McDonald's in other countries too, And at this one, Serena got this.
Can you order a glass of beer in Japan at McDonald's?
I don't think so.
I always remember that from Pulp Fiction. You can get a Royale with cheese and a glass of beer. Not no paper cup, a glass of beer.
Well, they don't have any open container laws, so you can just roll up with a beer if you want.
Oh, it's like New Orleans.
Yeah, it's
you
New
just
Orleans in an entire
cruise
country.
around.
Yeah, do whatever you want. Just drink
Take
the beer.
your Asahi anywhere you go.
Yeah, and that's something that they've gotten better since last time we went 5 years ago or so. They've gotten better about the beer culture, but it's still they're still deep into just like craft beer. Not craft, just crap beer. It's like
like Japanese Budweiser.
Yeah.
That's what Asahi is. It's Japanese Budweiser.
Yeah, it's nothing interesting. So, but maybe eventually they'll catch on. It caught on a little bit more. There were a few more craft places you could get you a beer at. But yeah, we had the KFC on Christmas, the 7/8 scale Chevelle, everything. Trying to think of any. There was obviously a bunch of highlights, but nobody likes to hear about those. It's more about the funny, silly stuff, and when you're embarrassing the room attendant with Godzilla-sized things.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. One thing, if y'all don't know, one of the big things they do is these natural hot springs, is what it is, and it really is. They're pumping water up from some well somewhere that's 105, 108 degrees, and you sit in the hot springs, and it's just a thing that they do, and they separate off the men and women, and you have to do it butt naked, like no bathing suit or nothing. You got to be totally naked, right? And so the first day you walk in, and here you are. Random white dude amongst all these Japanese guys, and you're like, all right, well, everybody else is naked. I guess I'm going to do that. And you're kind of like, all right, this is a little weird. And you sit down, you're just doing your thing, and all right, look straightforward and all that mess. By the time you're finished, by the end of the week, you don't care anymore. You walk in, a cannonball, boom.
That's different.
Yeah, a little strange, but yeah, and I hear about people. So here's the weird part: is I do hear about people who go to Japan in groups. It was me and my wife, and they separate off men and women. So she goes off and does her naked thing, in that one, I go off and do my naked thing with all the dudes over here. But I hear about people going with friends, and they talk about going into the thing. I'm like, so you're just hanging out with your buddies naked? That's a level of weird I'm not into yet. I'm not sure I could get into that one quite tomorrow. Sherwin, you want to go down the hot spring?
I mean, with a bathing suit on. Right. Or at least my boxer shorts.
Right. Kind of a strange one. But yeah, that's what we did. I'm still trying to figure out what day it is and what freaking time it is and everything else. We got up this morning. This is 4 days later, and me and Serena both woke up at 4:30 this morning, and we're staring at each other wide awake, like, what do we do now? So we went to Waffle House. Ate
Hell
breakfast this
yeah.
morning. Yeah. I had to get a shower. I was like, I'm gonna get a shower, find out somewhere to go eat, and I come out of the shower. She goes, how about Waffle House? I'm like, yeah, Waffle House. So we ran down there, had breakfast this morning. And now here it is, 9 p.m.
5 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to keep it going. So anyway, that's the old Christmas, New Year break for old Rusty. Sherwin, you had a little bit of adventure too. What was your deal?
Went up to Lexington for about 7.5 days. Did some distillery work and some brewery work. Went to Woodford Reserve. Went to Wild Turkey. Probably the highlight of that round of adventures was this tiny little hole in the wall. There used to be the Old Crow Distillery, OCD. I think there's some people from Kentucky that may be listening to this show or watching now that will be familiar with that it burned to the ground or whatever.
Did they distribute like in the Southeast? I feel like I've heard of that one.
Old Crow used to be bigger than everything, and then Jim Beam bought them. But the distillery, the original OCD, Old Crow Distillery, burnt to the ground, minus the 10 that stayed up or whatever. And then this brewery or distillery called Glens Creek moved in and took the space over, and they got 3 small little reverb stills. Not all that different than some of the things you and I have participated in the past, just slightly bigger.
Yeah.
Don't proof any of their stuff down. I've got a little bottle. I'll bring it next week.
Oh, sweet.
375 milliliter was $50. But it's like 117 proof.
Okay.
Which is something that you and I both know how to deal with.
Right.
But, we got to try like 9 different kinds of liquors.
Oh, wow.
They have a vodka, they have a rum, and then they have like a Scotch-based bourbon, and then everything else was sort of bourbon-y, rye-related. It was neat because the guy was hilarious. I mean, he was like a comedian behind the tasting counter, like you making fun of all the things that you hear at all the places like Woodford and Wild Turkey about how limestone is why the reason, Bourbon County, Kentucky is where most of the bourbon's made, and yada, yada, yada. He goes, no, that's all horse poo-poo. He said, it's taxes.
It's taxes. That's good.
So it was pretty funny. He's just breaking down the chemistry of did you notice all the pipes that they push all their liquor to their barrels in? He's like, what were they made out of? Steel? Okay, gotcha. That whole iron-free water thing is not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Iron does not carry over through the distillate for anybody who is interested in learning about liquor.
Ah.
It's too heavy.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, you have to boil it out. You're not boiling off iron.
Yeah, and there's nothing special about copper other than its looks.
That sounds like a pretty fun one, actually.
It was awesome.
When we go up there, I think we're looking at going up there later this year.
It's right, almost walking distance from Woodford.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So hit Woodford and then go to Glens Creek, and you'll get 2 wildly different experiences.
Yeah. So how was the big ones? Like that was something. We've been to a ton of microbreweries around, and the first real large scale massive brewery I went to was when we were in Colorado and went over to Golden and went to the Miller Brewery, and it was like the whole city was of Golden is like a Willy Wonka or something. You walk in, there's like the archway to come into the city, and everything just is nice and pretty and well landscaped, and beer flows like water, and it was a magical area. And then you go to the beer tasting room, and you're drinking Miller Lite and Coors Light and whatever. But it was a cool experience. What was it like at the big distillery?
Well, Wild Turkey was fairly corporate perspective. Like at one point you did get on like a little bus, and they rode you down, and then you kind of walked around, and they showed you all the different. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures I posted, but the big, huge copper pot still. Like they have a triple distilling process there, where they start with the mids and then go to the mid highs and then the highs.
Okay.
Like they distill 3 times before they put it in a barrel. So that was pretty cool. Woodford was uber corporate. It was corporate all the way. I mean, like when we went into the tasting room, you sat down in a chair, like it was a big horseshoe. Everybody in the tour, like it was 42 people or something in the tour. Huh. Everybody had a spot. You had 3 tasters, and you had a little, what they call a bourbon ball, which is dark chocolate with like milk chocolate in the middle with a pecan on the top.
Huh.
And so what they tell you to do with bourbon, anything that's like high alcohol, you're supposed to smell it with your mouth open, which I didn't ever realize that. So
I thought about that.
And so that like you kind of taste it at the same time, and they tell you to take a little sip and kind of marinate on that. And then you take another little sip, marinate on that, then take a little bite of the chocolate, and then have another sip. Finish it off. And it's like,
it's kind of rich.
I didn't realize you could pair chocolate with bourbon, but it
went pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, I had heard of pairing like dark chocolate with wine.
Yeah.
Just like you'd pair cheese with wine.
Yeah.
But yeah, chocolate and bourbon, yes. So we tried the regular good old Woodford Reserve, like everybody's heard of. Then the double barrel, which is pretty awesome. And then they had a rye. So we got to try 3 of them. But it was very regimented.
Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to just walking in and
and then but when the cool, I don't know what the coolest experience was. Like I said, I think Glens Creek was the coolest experience because it was so wildly different and uncontrolled. Like, I mean, all the way down to I got to pour a jar of new whiskey. into a barrel they were going to age.
Oh, neat.
He's like, we're trying to get everybody, as a part of the tour or whatever, get to help us make our whiskey. And then I got to sign the barrel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now that's a level of personality. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. Personal experience that, that's a good point. You can't get nowhere else.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah. What'd y'all do for New Year's?
What did we do for New Year's? We went over. So my friend lives in Richmond, Kentucky, which is like a suburb to the southeast of Lexington, about 25 miles.
Okay.
And so we went up into the hills. So I had a couple of 2 nights of very interesting in the hills of Kentucky experiences.
Oh, Lord.
Around people where I'm just like looking around going, look, I think I can own being a redneck. I don't know that I can own being a hillbilly. Like, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Because that's a different thing that you have to grow up in.
Right.
Like, it was fine. I mean, we got way too deep in the champagne when we got back home. And,
well, that'll happen.
Everybody woke up with a headache. And that's how that goes.
Yeah, no kidding. We spent our New Year's Eve in Yokohama, which when it turns midnight there, it is 10 a.m. Eastern time. So that was kind of funny, calling everybody on the East Coast being like, Happy New Year! They're like, what? I just woke up on December 31st. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm fixing to make a Bloody Mary. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we're like, it's tomorrow! But the one thing they did there, which we didn't even know they were going to do, the Ninja Warrior tournament that they have. Well, so they had the final round. They do that on New Year's Eve. And so
didn't they build some kind of monstrosity?
Yeah. It's the final round thing. It's round 4.
It looked like it was like 200 feet tall.
Yes. And here's the crazy part is that they have however many contestants that start on their first round, maybe 100 or 200 or however many, and then in the second round there might have been 25 people that made it through the second round. Then there were 2 who made it through the third round to go on to the fourth round. And they build this whole crazy structure and all this lights and pomp and circumstance so that 2 people can run this final course, which running the final course is nothing but pretty much rope
Probably
climbing.
cost them $1 million just to assemble.
Yeah. So that's how much they put into this thing. So 2 people run it, they both fail, and then 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year!
Woo!
So
redneck noise.
Yeah. So we were there in Yokohama for the final or the finale. I don't know. I might have just ruined it for anybody out here if they haven't syndicated it to the U.S. yet. But both the 2 guys who made it to the final round. There's this girl, and I've seen her before. She made it all the way to the third round, and well into the third round. She's from the U.S. She's like a stunt woman for movies and stuff, and she's known for making it. And there's not like a women's course or anything. She's
I think I know who
running
you're
the
talking
same
about,
thing as everybody
actually.
else is, and she's dominating. And it was pretty cool to see. Like we're rooting on, but she didn't make it to the final round. But it was pretty cool because they were showing beforehand all the rounds leading up to that night. So it's kind of neat. So anyway, Sherwin. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to
Happy
PTM
New Year.
Posse 2020. That's what we did. Let's kick off what NASCAR did over the last few weeks. We're going to tear it down with the report card, have a little fun here. You know what? You had sent me the report card topics, and this first one, just the headline that you had sent me, I started, I'm at a loss for words right now in terms of how big this news is with the crew chief changes for Penske that they've announced. I feel like this is as big a news as we've heard elsewhere, and I haven't had time to go in and research and see what the pundits are saying and see what everything else is going on. But Brad Kay is now with Jeremy Bullins, Ryan Blaney with Todd Gordon, and Joey Logano with Paul Wolfe, so pretty much doing like a merry-go-round there. Paul Wolfe and Brad Keselowski is like... I don't know. That's a powerhouse team to me. That's a Chad and Jimmy thing.
Yeah, I thought that was a Rodney Childers, Kevin Harvick kind of deal.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. Are people saying stuff or?
I don't know. I mean, people aren't saying. at least from what I can tell, people aren't saying anything. And I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think is that, Brad obviously has Rodgers' ear and has had his ear for a long time. And maybe he thought this would be a good idea for the whole team. Maybe Rodgers just said, look, you know what? We're not doing as well as SHR. We're not doing as well as Joe Gibbs. They're shaking stuff up. Hendrick is shaking stuff up over the last couple years. Maybe we should do that. I don't know. I mean, I think they think that Blaney should probably be performing better than he is.
Yeah. That feels like the impetus for this, right? And so then do you just switch out Blaney and Logano, or do you switch out Blaney and Brad, or do you just do this big round robin thing? And I guess I went for the whole circle here.
Yeah, we haven't really seen this amount of shakeup. We've seen two teams swap. Mm-hmm. But we haven't seen an entire team, just everybody musical chairs.
Yeah. Pick up your stuff, go one chair to the right. Yeah.
And it is good to know that with the crew chief goes the crew.
Okay,
so
I didn't think about that.
The car chiefs and the pit crews are going with the crew chief to their new team.
Wow. I mean, that's how do you walk into Daytona, and everything's brand new again? That's pretty wild.
I wonder if they're just trying to one last home run kind of thing with this car that we have, knowing that we're going to go to a new car next year and everything's going to be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just maybe Roger's trying to figure out, is Jeremy Bullins really, is he really an A-League crew chief? Do we really want him?
Right.
Crew chiefing at the Cup level.
And who's chiefing who at that point?
Brad hasn't.
Jeremy.
I mean, Brad's pretty much won a race every year since 2010.
Right.
So if Jeremy can't get a win with him in a known car, then maybe that's no offense to Jeremy at all, but maybe that's when Roger makes a decision to bring somebody new in, or maybe Jeremy steps up to the plate and Brad wins 2 or 3 races. You go, okay. Well, this is, we got a good team here.
Sure. Well, and Paul and Todd both have championships, recent or relatively recent ones.
In the last decade.
Right. Or even better. So, Joey Logano, Paul Wolfe, that's going to be tough to get
That's going to be dangerous is what that's going to be.
That's going to be dangerous.
I mean, you're talking about either the second or third best race driver in the circuit right now.
With the second or third best crew chief, and combined their synergy.
And now that Cole Pearns quit, he's probably the second at worst best crew chief.
Yeah. So that was a crazy shakeup. I mean, and you just mentioned Cole Pearn, and I felt like this was as big a news as that news. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought separating Brad and Paul, I thought was the big part of the news. Go ahead and change everybody out. I thought, wow. Okay, Roger's he looks like he's throwing darts, but Roger doesn't throw darts. He's a billionaire.
Yeah. He just threw a dart at an entire racing series.
He bought a racetrack and a race series, which we might get to later. I don't know, but
well, second period. So this is pretty funny because Tommy Joe, we had him on. What was it? December 17th, I think.
Yeah, we closed out the year with Tommy.
Closed out the year with Tommy Joe.
And he couldn't tell us yet.
I know. That was so cool now, looking back, that they're announcing a full season in Xfinity. I think this is his first full Xfinity season, if I was reading right.
Certainly with Martin's Motorsports.
Yep, and rekindling Martin's Motorsports. He'll be in the number 44. I didn't know it had been 3 years since Martin's Motorsports had run. But he was talking to us about, because we were asking him, hey, you've got some cars, right? So that had to be tough for him sitting there on the other side of that, because we were like, you own some cars, right? He's like, yeah, we have a few cars. We're looking at what our options are, and 6 days laid the big announcement.
Well,
that's really fun.
So here's a funny anecdote to that: is a couple people freaked out on the Twitter because he had mentioned, or in the process, the reported news had mentioned that they had purchased a couple KBM chassis, and somebody was like, tweeted at me, you can convert a truck chassis into an Xfinity car? And I go, no. KBM used to run Xfinity cars.
Yeah.
And chassis aren't manufacturer specific.
Yes.
They bought some of Kyle's KBM NXS cars from 6 years ago.
Yeah. That's wild, man. I'm excited to see what happens there, and I think that consistency, we're going to see something special is going to happen at some point in the season for Tommy Joe, and that's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah. Well, especially now with all the the clamp-on bodies. Mm-hmm. Those are going to help these guys because what you bump the wall, guess what? It doesn't tear the body up.
Right. Well, I'll skip over third period for a second and go straight into fourth because it is very pertinent to the same conversation, which is trucks and Xfinity pit stops, new rules that were announced. So the whole I had to distill this down a bit because there's everybody sharing the same graphic that NASCAR shared out. And even if you look at the graphic, you're like, okay, what? How does this? What's going on? But essentially, it's that when Cup and either Xfinity or Cup and trucks are not running at the same track, there's new rules for pit stops. And the key point to the whole thing is that you can't lose positions on pit road unless you are doing a different pit strategy. Now, what they're doing is like you either take 2 tires and two tires and full fuel, or 4 tires and no fuel, but you can pit twice.
Well, and it depends on whether it's oval or a road course. So on an oval, you can take 2 tires and fuel on one stop, and if you want 4 tires, you can come back in a second time and get the other 2 tires and start at the back of the field.
Right.
On a road course, you can either take 4 tires or you can take gas, but you can't do both.
And they're not going to let them run around the circuit
on one pit.
Time. Yeah.
And because those circuits are so long, they're not going to do so. With all the oval tracks, they're going to have 2 opportunities to pit, and on road courses, 1 opportunity to pit. And so the only thing I don't like about it is green flag stops are fun. I thought it would be more fun if they made a rule to where you couldn't pit under the stage caution. Like you have to pit under green.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
But I think the whole point is they're trying to limit cost as much as they can. They're trying to get these teams to use less tires.
Well, and even the playing field a little bit too, right? Because if you're in Iowa and you are a top tier team, you're flying in Cup crew guys, right? And if you're a Tommy Joe Martin's team, you're not flying in Cup crew guys, right? And
no, you're piecemealing one together.
Yeah. So they're kind of making it so that it takes that part out of it.
Well, I agree, but it doesn't feel like to me, not to belabor the point, but it doesn't feel like to me that freezing positions under yellow is the better way to do that. That is one way to let anybody that works on the truck or the car can go over the wall and change the tires if they know they're not going to lose a spot. I get it. I guess that's probably the most economical way to do it for exactly what you just said is, and it's not even so much like, if it's a Gibbs car or a JR Motorsports car or an SHR car, they may fly in a team, but they might just be sending their training team. Like Hendrick has 4 Cup cars, and they are affiliated with Junior Motorsports, which has 4 Xfinity cars. They have about 12 pit teams in their rotation, like that they're constantly training. So they can just send one.
They can send somebody.
and it doesn't matter. So hopefully this will be a way that those teams can compete a little better. Maybe it'll give a chance to, let's say, a Tommy Joe Martins and the Martins Motorsports number 44. Maybe they're 25th or 27th place points team. Maybe it gives them a chance to finish 19th.
Well, or I said we're going to see a special race at some point this year from Tommy Joe. Imagine coming in on that last pit stop, and I think Jeff Gluck said something similar to this, where Tommy Joe is in 10th place, right? And he goes into the pits under caution in 10th place and comes out 21st,
Right, because he gets crushed by a bunch of Cup.
Right.
Pit
And
crews.
that doesn't happen in this case.
Yep, I totally agree with that.
So I can get on board with that sentiment. This parallels a little bit the experiment or whatever you want to call it that we had with trucks, 6 or 8 years ago, however long ago it was now, where for the whole season trucks could only do 2 tires at a time or fuel or what was it? I can't even remember. You remember what the rules were for how they could pit? This was
yes,
the whole series.
I kind of do. It was. There was a season where you could only fuel or only tire.
Yeah, and you could do 2. You could come in twice, but then you leave in the same, in whatever position that you left in. But
they didn't. I mean, obviously they didn't like it because they only did it for the 1 year.
That's what's weird to me. I thought it was okay. I enjoyed watching it and seeing the strategy, and that's what this comes down to.
Well,
strategy.
they didn't freeze the field though. That's the
true.
new addition to the rule.
That's a good point. And again, so this is only for races where they're not overlapped. Xfinity only has 4 of those. 2 of them are Iowa.
And Trucks only has 3.
And Trucks has 3. So, it feels like an experiment, I guess.
That's what I said. It's a test case.
Yeah. So we'll see where they go with it. But I don't know. I will always applaud NASCAR for trying something a little bit different for the sake, especially if it's for the sake of saving some money.
them trying it under competition conditions where you have 31 trucks or you have 36, 37, 38 Xfinity cars. Like, this testing with 5 or 6 cars, you don't learn anything from that.
Right.
Whether you're doing pit stop stuff or you're just actually driving around the racetrack trying to figure out what's fast and what's not fast. Like, to your point, use these underling series as a way to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we've seen that with the NFL where they've kind of watched what college was doing, maybe even encouraged them to do some things with the replay rules and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Say, okay, I mean, we didn't have people getting kicked out of NFL games for targeting before we had it happening in college. It was in college first.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, I mean, it's a good way to sort of gauge whether or not, what's the public think about this? Do we think this is a good way to progress?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get some real live testing with a full field.
Sure.
To understand how's this going to work.
Rookie of the Year last year in Xfinity, speaking of that series again, Chase Briscoe announcing his return to SHR for a full Xfinity season. I don't know, I'm not surprised. Dude was right up there in championship. He was strong, Rookie of the Year. I think that's the perfect place for him, Sherman.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody thinks that Chase, especially because of his sprint car background, that him being with Tony is a great place for mentorship. And the fact that we have at least 2 spots at SHR that are going to be vacated within the next 3 years, I mean, if they develop Chase the way they want to, maybe those vacations or retirements happen sooner rather than later. I think I would be surprised if Harvick drove beyond 2021. Mm-hmm. I would be surprised if Clint drove beyond 2022. And Almirola, his thing's going to be based on sponsorship because he's not exactly knocking everybody's socks off winning races.
Right.
So, it seems like the right move. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with the fact that they had 2 cars last year and they only have the 1 driver this year that we're aware of. There's not anybody else I'm aware of to fill that 00. I don't know if they're going to quit that car or if maybe I didn't read enough stuff to find out that somebody was going to be in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because Chase was in the 98 last year.
Yeah. I don't know that answer. That's interesting. You bring up a good point that this is like they're showing their hand in terms of what they're trying to do here, which is, hey, here's some insurance. But it sounds like like you said with the 00, they need a little more insurance too coming in the next few years. But that's a perfect timing too. I mean, Chase does good again this year. He's 2 years in Xfinity. If somebody decides they're dropping, if Harvick suddenly announces later this year that he's done, they could possibly move him up quicker. But if that's not the case, hey, let him settle in there one more year, Xfinity, and then I mean he's Super Cup ready at that point. So
Yeah, you want to see him in victory lane, though. I think that's probably what their goal is we need to get this kid's confidence up. We need to get him in victory lane. We need to understand whether or not this kid has got this, got what it takes to make the next step.
Yeah. Well, if he's going to be replacing the closer, if you will, then that would be a key metric, KPI, key performance indicator.
Key performance indicator. Yeah.
Fifth period. This is kind of cool. So PTM alum Julia Landauer. You wrote this one out there. Going to be racing full time in Euro NASCAR 2 for PK Car Sport, which I love it because the word car sport sounds very much like a European name for a for a team, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like a mistranslation in a lot of ways.
Yay, car sport.
Car sport.
But yeah, that's cool. I was reading some interviews and stuff, coming into the show. About how she's like, I'm just looking for something that I can run all year long, have a cool experience here. They do nothing but road courses,
road and street. Yep.
So she's gonna have a ton of experience there. That's pretty cool.
One of our boys over in the UK, MOTF, they go to 2 or 3 of those races a year.
Yeah. I'd love to hear a little interview session, maybe.
By God and all the disciples.
Yeah, if they can get something going. But yeah, that's awesome to hear, and it shows where all these opportunities are for folks too, widening horizons and whatnot. And I think she was part of the NASCAR Next program as well. So yeah, I mean, there's
she won the NASCAR Next program.
That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's still only 28.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
she's still kind of young.
Born in '91, I think, is what I saw. Yeah. So, phew, that makes me old. What in the world? What happened?
No kidding. I got one around the corner that's looming.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Oh, man. Recess time. College football championship, dude. We've got.
Let's go Tigers!
Tigers are going to win this one for sure.
For sure.
Bank on that one. Take that to Vegas, see if they'll take the bet.
Yeah.
But, LSU seems like, I don't know. This can't be a college football podcast because there's plenty of people who know way more than me about it. I hopefully know a little bit more about NASCAR than they do. But it seems like, hey, here's the unstoppable force and the, immovable object.
Yeah. Rocking a hard place.
Yeah. So I think I can't be anything more than excited to see what happens here. It's essentially a home game for LSU being in New Orleans.
No kidding. I'd set the over-under on 71.5 at least. That's probably modest.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is going to be a 49-46, 49-42 kind of game.
It's fun for sure.
You got two
quarterbacks.
First off, for real quarterbacks. You got relatively decent defenses, but the offenses are so much better than the relative defenses. Mm-hmm. I saw some very interesting things. ESPN obviously tries to do what they do to attract as much attention to their site now that they've fired anybody that can write except Ryan McGee. About who is the real Death Valley. I can tell you right here, right now on this podcast, who the real Death Valley is. If you want to know, in the 40s, after World War II, the state of South Carolina built a cemetery for South Carolinians who were killed in World War II, and they built that graveyard that overlooked what is Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina, and that's why it was called Death Valley.
There you go.
And that's all you need to know.
Well, how did LSU get Death Valley?
Because they beat Clemson in 1959, which was 12 years after they adopted the name.
I didn't know that they stole it.
Yeah, Clemson's record is 300 and something to 100 and something at home in Death Valley.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, it does feel like that. I mean, it feels like, where did LSU come from too? Right? I mean. I guess they've been decent, but they haven't been, on the forefront of everybody's mind up until this year. And then, of course,
Well, when Saban showed up in 03,
well, there's that.
they won a championship then.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, LSU's always been one of those school, for lack of a better way of saying it, I know this is going to piss somebody off. They've been a lot like Georgia up until the last couple years, and then sporadically every fourth or fifth year, in that they have all these amazing players that end up in the pros, but the record does not compute.
Always a bridesmaid, never the bride kind of.
Yeah,
ordeal.
I mean, they play in one of the hardest divisions in all of college football, all the props, because that's true, that's reality, but, you know, they haven't really lived up to their talent level up until this year.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. Go Tigers.
Well, my daddy's a Clemson alum, so you know where I'm at. Go orange and purple, baby.
Well, I mean, you know, it's ACC for me. I love it when ACC shows some might and some power and stuff. So that's who I'll be rooting for. I'm not going to, I'm not going to raise hell if that's not the case. But love to see a good game and all that scoring you're talking about. Definitely excited about that. I'm good, thank you. Some fun stuff. So I thought this was funny. Somebody took their Tesla Model S car and made a wrap for it that perfectly mirrors Dale Earnhardt's, Goodwrench number 3 car. And I thought, you've made it as a manufacturer if somebody has slapped a number 3 on the side of your car. So I was.
I'd like to see that.
It's pretty cool looking. It's.
I bet I can Google it.
Oh yeah. Tesla, Dale Earnhardt. Y'all Google that one up right quick. It's a pretty slick looking car, and it'll beat everybody off the line. That's for sure.
No kidding. Those things are 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds.
Yeah. For like your standard driving to the grocery store car.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. Isn't it cool?
That's really cool.
So I thought,
hey, there's rich rednecks too, y'all.
Yeah, right. I thought
that's an $80,000 car, by the way.
And what they're doing now too, Model S should be $50,000 or so.
Oh, that's
that's the
chilled out one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about chilled out. It will still, like I said, or like you said, go 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds going to a grocery store. But I, somebody had said it when I was looking through some of the commentary about, hey, NASCAR's trying to get into more sustainable energy cars. Here's somebody who's interested. Hey, there's some crossover there. So good on them. I thought that was fun. This year, Stenhouse-Buscher, Sherwin, you wrote this one down. Is this going to be a better year in this ride swap deal? What do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's going to be a, throw it up into the air deal all year. I don't know that those cars are any better than each other. So I guess what we're trying to say is Buscher a better driver than Stenhouse? I think Buscher.
He'll piss off fewer people.
Buscher doesn't piss off as many people. Good point. He doesn't wreck on his own accord as often. Like he doesn't create a lot of problems for himself. But was the reason for that when he was driving the 37 because he knew that JTG Doherty probably really couldn't afford for him to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know where Roush is at on that, but I don't know. I would say Ricky's I think he's going to have to be that guy that, you're the wrecker, you win. And the thing is, he didn't win,
right?
But he wrecked a lot.
Right. If Kyle Busch never wins, everyone hates him.
Yeah.
So, I get it. If you're moving or you're blocking or you're just in the way or whatever else, and you're not, you don't have anything to show for it. To your point.
Well, and I think there's going to be a lot of drivers, as we've heard on the radio and in all the various programming that happens during the week, when driver changes happen. These guys they pay so little attention to what's going on around them. They don't know who's in that car. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Buscher's going to suffer through probably 10 races where the front runners are going to be like still thinking that's Stenhouse in that car, and they're going to treat
yeah.
that car like Stenhouse is the one that's in it.
Yeah, your first instinct is, I know who that is.
Yeah, and they're like, this guy's just always in the way. I'm just going to move him.
Last one here, big announcement from Ross Chastain, the CGR sponsorship. Ross driving the number 77 Spire Motorsports Cup ride in the Daytona 500 with Advent Healthcare. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to Andrew Kansian. He called that yesterday when CGR announced that they were going to have an announcement. He's like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was Ross in the 77 Spire car, and he was dead right on that.
Yeah. Well, dang, that's cool. The NASCAR Troubadour sees another Daytona 500. That's obviously rooting for the Watermelon Man there. But yeah, dude, we're going into 2020. Maybe I should play Gas It Up here. Where's it at? There it is. Yeah. That's gassing it up into 2020. And I don't know. What are you looking forward to the most this season?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the schedule mix-up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like to have the Brickyard 400 on the 4th of July weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing Bristol in the playoffs. Certainly looking forward to Atlanta getting one more week of reprieve in hopes of us having some good weather, although we had pretty damn good weather last year.
Yeah, we did. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, Daytona being the seal the deal for the chase or the playoffs, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. I think that's going to hit us like a freaking pile of bricks or something. Once we get there and we go, oh crap, we got this is our decider. That's going to be wild and crazy. You went with the tracks. I'm going with the personnel. This is a changing of the guard year. Where next year it will have changed. But I think we're going to see, with Jimmy and the guys who are kind of on their way out, as we've discussed before. I feel like we're going to see a mix-up in the winners circle quite a bit this year. I think we've got a lot of opportunity, a lot of hungry guys, a lot of young guys who have several years now under their belts. So looking at the Blaneys and the Chases and et cetera, I think we're going to see a big step up there. And I'm seeing, I call me a homer, but I'm seeing Chase. He could come away with 6-7 wins.
Yeah, he could have had 6 or 7 last year.
Right. He's on the precipice of greatness.
Well, and he's winning the races that are historically very hard to win for traditional stock car racers. Like, he's proven himself now. Like, in today's sport, there's only one or maybe 2 drivers that you might say are better road course drivers than Chase Elliott. You could say maybe Kyle Busch and maybe Martin Truex. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Mm-hmm. So if he's got that part figured out.
Right.
And he's winning at places like Dover and Kansas.
And shown he can win it like Charlotte.
It's only a matter of time
Atlanta.
before those other big fast tracks come together.
Hell, Talladega.
Yeah.
He's won.
Dega. Absolutely. I would love to see Blaney bust out with a multi-win season. I think that would be really good for NASCAR. It'd be really good for us since we like him and think he's fun for the sport. He's certainly fun for the sport, whether you like him or not. You don't have to like him. But, we are in the process of a very large swinging gate of the changing of the guard. Mm-hmm. We have a tremendous number of drivers that are under 30, and we have a significant chunk of drivers who are over 40. Mm-hmm. And in between is basically Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski.
Yeah.
That's about it. In that, in the 30 to 40 range, it's those 2 guys. Mm-hmm. So, the sport is going to change a lot. And I think this next year is going to shape it up a lot. It's probably going to help Kevin make a decision. It's going to help Clint make a decision. We already discussed those things. Ryan Newman is probably getting closer to a decision, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, 40, 41. He's not that old, but for NASCAR these days, that's not that young either.
Right. Well, it was, what's his butt? The NASCAR stats guy that was saying like 41 is.
Oh, David Smith.
Yeah, David Smith is like your peak.
39.
Or 39 was
39's peak.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Well, cool, man. It is 2020 now, so Pocono, I got to start calling the days off, and we got to start looking at what our situation is.
Yep.
So now that we're in the year, there's a lot of 2020 stuff that we've been looking forward to when it comes to the NASCAR season, when it comes to what we're doing and where we're going to be going. And now that we're in that same year, it's like, all right, well, the clock ain't going to go no slower. So it's we're about ready to get moving on some of this stuff, and loving what's going on. Love the PTM posse, and really excited about what we have going on and everything. And thank you, patrons and everyone else. And let's do this. Let's do some 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one last thing, and as I'm looking at your pullover, the Darrell Wallace number 43 for Rich Fetter Motorsports. That's a cool pullover. Bubba's got a new crew chief.
Oh,
his crew chief when he won 5 truck races for KBM, Jerry Baxter.
Oh yeah,
who is like Bill Murray's doppelganger, as it turns out.
That's funny.
So that's a big change for Bubba. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So there's another one who I'm not saying he's busting out with like 6-7 wins or nothing, but he's got some time under his belt now. It's time to step up. I hope he starts getting the car that he got. Which one was it? Where he got the car and
finished
he was like
8th at one of those big tracks in the middle of the late summer or whatever that he ran really well.
Yeah, and he's like, and beforehand he's like, I've got the car. And so I'm hoping.
Well, yeah, he got one of RCR's number 1 chassis, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do with it, which is he finished in the top 10.
Right. So yeah, excited to see what happens there. Well, y'all, we're gonna close this thing out, dude. It's 2020. We've done a show.
Off we go.
That's right. So with that, y'all know what the deal is. Follow us, PTMpodcast.com, at PTM Podcast. We'll bring you all the 2020 happenings and everything else going on. It's been a joy talking here in the new year, and we're kicking off another. When did we start this podcast? Was it 2015?
Beginning of June 2015.
Yeah, 2015. So wow, we're going to be half a decade in.
No kidding.
So how crazy is that? So y'all, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for joining in. And as always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor.
And I am pregame engineer Andrew Sherwin and at Andrew L. Sherwin on Instagram.
We can't wait to talk to y'all next week. See y'all then.
Skew!
Boom. What's up, posse?
Ba-boom, ba-boom, boom. Who's still there?
Y'all hanging? Chilling with us for a little bit? I'm going to get this thing exported. Get it ready for the
What
iTunes.
is up?
Phew.
Looks like we had a pretty good crowd. I tried to stay on top of it. I think I missed a few questions. Maybe not. Maybe just commentary. I don't know. Hang in.
Track title.
What's up?
Let's see. Yep, just doing my housekeeping stuff here.
Sending a picture of the son's new IBM style keyboard.
Oh, I have to put the year on the metadata for the MP3 file. And so
Ooh.
there we go. I had to type in 2020 there again.
Got it into the YouTube production deal there. Worked out pretty good.
So there we go.
Doodly
Getting
doot.
that going. Sending a picture of the son's new IBM style keyboard. Clickety clackety stuff there. Is that it, Roger? Oh man. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's the picture.
What's an
purchase.
IBM style keyboard?
The clickety clackety. Yep, exactly what I was thinking. I see, Roger. You sent that. That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. And it's even got the like 2 mouse buttons on the bottom, and it's got they call it the nipple, like that. Actually, my keyboard has one.
The pad? Oh no, the little fast tracker thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't have one of those.
Yeah, I've got one on this keyboard, and I've never used it until just now. I didn't even know it was there. Woo! Look at me.
I don't like it.
How? There's no way I could be precise with this. Who in their right mind uses that? I don't know.
I think on the very first laptop I ever had, I got good at it, and then I just gave up on it.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I see. Because you don't. What it means is you don't have to, like, move your hand over and over. Like, if you just hold it on the
Right,
left
because
side,
it's in between the H and the J,
well, and
so
it's
you
going to
just
keep
kind of
going left until you stop, putting pressure on that side of it. So I could see how that could be useful. But then how do I click? Like, I have to go way back down here to click. I don't know. I sound like some old guy now. Well, how do I click?
Well, I'm still trying to get used to the mouse pad on my new laptop because it is super sensitive.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Ooh, log into Podbean. Okay. Hopefully this is... is that my Podbean account login? It is! Excellent.
Yay!
Phew! Thank goodness. Oh, man. And this should be saved. Oh, I gotta...
Doodly doot doot. Doodly doot doot.
Okay. Log in. Log in there. Can I log into PTM Podcast? That would be good, too. You go 3 weeks and everything forgets your passwords and forgets that you logged in. Now I'm like blowing off the dust here, hoping that everything worked. I think we're a go. Excellent. Stuff actually works. New post and new everything.
Most of mine actually transferred through like my Google subscription or whatever.
That's cool.
It like trapped. I mean, I'm sure that's bad, but whatever.
Who's our next guest? Good question, Jumpy Bob. Do we have anybody lined up?
We have an invitation out. We have not received a response.
Okay.
Our hope is it will be Georgia Henneberry, but
oh yeah, she usually comes on for our ahead of Chili Bowl and gives us a.
I'd hoped she would come on for the 3rd year in a row to do a Chili Bowl pre-cap, but I will have to reach out again.
All good. Yeah, that's always fun. I saw that 2 of the Cup guys, who was it? Chili Bowl Nationals 2020.
Newman and Larson are racing.
Somebody. Yeah, Larson's in. Somebody else was in. Oh, well, I don't know. Larson was in New Zealand, finished 3rd in something there. Midget car racing. So, interesting.
Yeah. I think Casey's going to be there, I think.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Bowman.
Newman and Bowman, that's it.
Okay.
Newman and Bowman.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, Posse, what'd y'all do for New Year's? Anything crazy? And how about Christmas? You get any loot?
Christmas.
What'd
y'all get for Christmas?
We were...
I got this vest.
It looks good. That's awesome.
A little multicolored thing going on here.
Yeah. We didn't buy any things for each other.
This laptop's what the main present was.
Yeah. Me and Serena didn't buy any things because we were going to be in wherever, Japan. So
yeah, we had a small one. I bought my sister a replica Megan Rapinoe jersey.
Oh, that's
cool. She was pretty stoked about that.
Yeah.
I bought Mom and Dad a king size Georgia Tech piecemeal quilt.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
I've actually bought it like 7 months ago.
Star Wars Lego. There you go, Jumpy Bob. Doped up on Benadryl New Year's Eve to sleep through the block fireworks. A new keg. That's awesome. Well done. And Roger says first year the wife did not get him a Barnes & Noble gift card. Yeah, those are pretty much not worth the weight in plastic anymore, are they?
Not really. You'd rather have an Amazon gift card, I think.
Yeah.
Online gift card.
Oh, man. Shiner Light Blonde. I like it. Atlanta FC t-shirt. Oh, that's awesome. You know, we're into that.
Also, because I can't read, when I bought my sister the jersey, I bought her a t-shirt to go with that was delivered after I already had got on a plane for Lexington, Kentucky. There's a shirt that says, "It's okay if you don't like soccer. It's kind of a smart people thing."
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
So I got to mail that to her.
I like it. Oh, well, the episode is just about done uploading. Come on with it. And then I'll put it on the show, or put it on the website, and then it'll go on iTunes. And then that much will be done, and I will go to bed at some point. Whatever. Get there. Stuck at 99%. Classic. Stuck at 100%. And it's done. Sweet.
Woo! Redneck noise.
There we go. Now if I copy that and I paste it in here and then mash on buttons and blah, 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 and hit that button.
Canadian Juniors Hockey. Okay. All right. However you do it's how you do it.
That's cool. Boy, the hockey stuff, growing up in Atlanta, it was just there's never the hockey culture, Obviously, I mean, we've had various teams and stuff, and I've been in and had, season tickets and stuff to hockey, but like the growing up culture thing, there was a guy at my old work who lived in Wisconsin, and every year, I mean, he blocked off space in his backyard and filled it up with water and made a rink. Like, that's just what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's pretty freaking cool. But just something that like is completely foreign to me. Let's see if that got up there. Podcasts, library, PTM today. Happy New Year. Booyah. It is up. So just a few more little things to take care of on here. Anybody do anything crazy for New Year's?
No.
Fraternity at RPI used to make their own rink. Yeah. Oh, Jumpy Bob, you did that. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, sports culture here in Atlanta growing up. I mean, basketball was big for me, at least.
Basketball, baseball, football,
Football,
soccer.
yeah, obviously. January 7th, 2020.
We played a lot of basketball, football, soccer, baseball.
Baseball was probably the biggest one in, like, the suburbs. Now, I sucked at baseball, and I quit after 7th grade or something like that. But it was that was big. That was the one where, like, to get in the league, everybody camped out the night before at the local high school to go sign up for the season. Like, that was the big thing, was doing that. And I remember telling my parents that it was like the night before, and I'm like, I don't really want to play baseball anymore. And I think they were disappointed, but they knew that, like, I sucked so bad at it that it was like, come on, who are we kidding? So fair enough. I got the game ball the last season that I played. I got the game ball after hitting into a fielder's choice, and I made it to first. That's how bad, right? And I got another game ball for catching a fly out, which our team won when I caught it. But I was out in right field drawing circles in the dirt, and and got that. ptm.podbean.com. That should give us the share link. There it is. Put this up on Twitter. Profile. And tweet. Yes, I would like to tweet something, please. Maybe if I go home, there it is. Let me tweet this. Ah! What are you doing? There we go. And PETM 226. And once we do this, we'll close it out on the old After Dark here. I know it hasn't been too dark for us this
Hadn't
time.
been after darky at all, has it?
Yeah. Well, we're doing our thing. Catching back up. Let's see. Pin this to the profile page. Pin. And then if I go to the profile, it ought to be
Oh,
there.
excuse me.
Huh. It didn't do the usual, like, card or whatever. There it is. Now it's up. Everything's up. Everything worked. Holy crap. I remembered how to do it. 2020, y'all. Oh, man. We'll finally watched season 3 of WKRP. What is that? I don't know.
I don't know what that is either.
What's WKRP? Someone swear quick. Butt. Snot. WKRP. Now I'm like trying to. It's a TV show. Yeah, I mean I get it. All right, I'm looking it up. WKRP. Or like that's the name of the show.
Why should we know what that is?
Oh.
I don't understand why we're supposed to know what that
Cincinnati
is.
is an American sitcom. Huh. All right. Well, yeah, I didn't know it existed.
You mean the place where they put cinnamon in their chili and it sucks?
Oh, Skyline Chili. That's just they just better.
It's
might as
terrible.
well call it trouser chili.
It's terrible.
As far as I'm concerned. No. Okay. Interesting. Original release September 18th, 1978.
78? Yeah, there's no chance I'll ever watch 1 second of that. That is trash.
Oh man. Yep.
I've been watching Longmire. I stayed up way too late last night because it was intriguing as hell.
What was it?
Longmire?
Longmire.
It's
What is
very
that about?
similar to Yellowstone in that, although, like the main character is actually a sheriff as opposed to just a rancher,
Okay.
but it's like it's still the same thing. It's like ranchers, like in Indian space, and like how they are still not figuring out how to get along,
Huh.
or Native American space, I should say. Like Wyoming, Montana, whatever, somewhere around in there,
Yeah.
where they just absolutely cannot figure out how to get along. Which, I get it. I'm not trying to be insensitive to why the reasons why they may not get along are, but, and it's fiction. They're both fiction, but it's very intriguing. And every show is a new, it's like, they're not segmented very much.
I gotcha. Okay.
Like it's not a continuation story. So like every episode
kind of jump in the middle.
a new story.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could jump in and like not really. I mean, you'd certainly benefit from starting from the beginning, but you wouldn't like. You could watch like the 4th episode and be like, "Oh, okay, all right, let's see what we got going on here."
Yeah. All right, y'all. We're gonna shut this thing down. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to y'all next week.